Folks, you got to see the modularity of these Blaser R8s. These things are absolutely phenomenal, and we've got Derek here that's going to tell us about it. Light it up. All right, Derek, you're from Blaser.
Yes, sir.
And so we just had an employee training on these R8s, and these things are absolutely phenomenal. I've heard of them, I've looked at them, but wasn't really aware of just how simple they are and just how modular they are. And it's kind of hard to understand just reading about it or looking at pictures. So I really want to go over and show everybody how simple these guns are and the modularity of them and really the value that they bring to the market.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, obviously we're not talking about a cheap firearm here.
Correct.
For this model right here, what are we talking about?
You're talking about a $5,000 full MSRP,
Right.
depending on the configuration. One thing with Blaser, as you mentioned, we're extremely modular, so anything can be changed, altered, edited to get a different price point.
Right.
It's to fit you. It can be your custom rifle without having to go to our custom gun shop.
Nice. Absolutely. And now, how many calibers do you guys offer the R8 in?
You know, I would be lying if I told you. I'd have to go look.
An exact number, but there's a
I
ton.
can tell you that anything from a 22 long rifle to a 500 Jeffrey.
Wow.
So anything from your rimfire Plinken to your dangerous game Safari, and anything in between.
And so the cool thing about that is you can swap out literally any one of those calibers.
Any one of them.
Now, show us and tell us how we do that.
All right. So first off, we're going to start with what most people think is our safety. For Blaser, it's actually not a safety. It's better. It's a decock and a cock. So all of the firing mechanism is done right in the bolt housing. It's not done in the trigger group. As you can see, that is just a trigger shoe. So we're going right now. The rifle is in decock. So technically, you couldn't just pull it back.
Right.
But if I wanted to rack the bolt but still leave it on decock, all I have to do is just take the tension off the spring, unlock it, and pull it back. And as you can see, it's a straight pull back. So to change caliber, to go from caliber to caliber, there are three components to that. You have your barrel, you have your bolt head, and then you have your magazine. So depending on the caliber, for example, let's say if we started with a 243 barrel and we went to a 6.5 Creedmoor barrel, all you would have to change would be your barrel. Those two calibers take the same magazine insert and the same bolt head. Now, if we were going to go from, this is a 6.5 Creedmoor, this exact model, if we were to go from a 6.5 Creedmoor to a 300 Win Mag, we would go from a standard bolt head to a Magnum bolt head. We would change the barrels out, of course, and then we would change magazine insert out.
That is fantastic.
All on the same chassis. Now, I will give one clause to that. Let's say we started this as what we call our standard profile barrel, standard taper barrel. And our dangerous game barrels and our match barrels, they're a larger diameter. And so if you went to a larger diameter barrel, the stock would have to have the forearm channel opened up. But once you do that, every barrel below that will also still fit.
Wow.
So again, anything from 22 long rifle to 500 Jeffrey.
That is fantastic. Now, let's also talk about, so when you do change out those calibers, you order a new barrel, new bolt head, bolt face and all that. So you don't have to get another background check done because that's not actually a 100%. New firearm.
The only thing serialized, considered a firearm on this, is the receiver itself. So bolt heads, barrels, mag inserts, bolt housings, that's all accessories. So guy bought this 6.5 Creedmoor today, came back and was going on a big hunt. He wanted a 300 Win Mag, 375, H&H, whatever. All he has to do is buy the barrel and the bolt head. And every barrel comes with its own mag insert. It is easier to remove the trigger group first.
Okay.
So we remove that.
So simple.
And then you press the button.
Yep.
Pull the slide out.
Wow. That is super simple. Now, here's another aspect, too, that I want to go over that you were talking about. With this being a straight pull and the way this locks up, there's a full 360 degrees of lockup here. You're not talking about locking lugs.
That's correct. The locking lug is the bolt itself. So with our safety, like you said, 360 degrees of full locking. It's a 2-piece bolt system. When the bolt is pressed into the barrel, every cut expands out, pops out like a claw, and grabs on the inside of that barrel. So technically, the hotter the load, the tighter the lockup.
That is fantastic. I mean, incredibly safe as well. So
speaking about that, as far as the decock, we are the only rifle that is made where you can carry one in the chamber on decock and be 100% guaranteed safe because it is truly decocked.
And let's talk about that too. So you were talking about why you might want to do that. What are the scenarios that might be handy for?
So for someone who is hunting in a box stand for whitetail may not be as important, but for the guy who is going to Africa or a guy who is going into Alaska after dangerous game or has to spot and stalk, anytime you make any kind of movement, animals see you. Anytime you make noise, animals hear you, versus being able to have one ready to go, have it decocked so you're 100% safe, but then as soon as you need it, recock it with your thumb.
And like virtually no sound whatsoever.
No sound.
And you're ready to go.
And it's one motion. You never have to. In fact, let's say you're with your guide and you're getting on sticks. You never have, once your head is on, you never have to pick your head up. You know it's right here. It's right where your thumb is. You never have to take your eyes off the target.
And another thing that I like about this, and this is completely changing gears, but just looking at it, I was like, something looks different. But because of this action, because of the way the barrel mates up, this is actually a shorter package
100%.
with the same length of barrel as another traditional.
It is on average
rifle.
3 to 4 inches shorter than any other bolt rifle on the market.
Why is that?
You do not have that empty action space right here. And like we were saying, going from, different length actions, different length cartridges, it's a straight pull. So right now there is no mag housing in the firearm. So the bolt came all the way to the back. As you can see, it's a couple inches past the point of the cone. If I was to put this back in, this little spring loaded block right here, heard that click. So now when I go to rack it back, it stops right there at that block. Now on here, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a difference because that 6.5 Creedmoor is a little bit longer cartridge anyway, but it is about a half-inch difference from where it was to begin with. The shorter the action you go, the shorter that block gets, the shorter the stroke of the bolt. So if I had a 22 long rifle in here, it would stop about right there.
Wow.
The block is that long. The block would come all the way up the mag, and it would stop right there. And then once you would remove the magazine, it would go back to a full stroke.
And also, it's not necessarily something that comes into play a lot, but the speed of a straight pull is going to be infinitely better than something that you actually have to pull up and then back down.
Speed and consistency, again, staying on target. When you have a traditional bolt, you're having to, you're further out because of that longer action. So then you have this more awkward, you're having to throw the bolt up toward your eye line of sight. Whereas a straight pull, you never do that. It's just, in fact.
Yeah.
And you're staying on target. You never have to leave the cone.
Now, how would somebody go about, so if, say they buy an R8 in 6.5 Creedmoor, and like you were saying, there's several calibers that are going to match up with that same bolt. How would they go about ordering, say, another barrel or another barrel and another magazine block and another bolt?
So all they got to do is go see Smoky Mountain Guns. They bought the firearm from them. They take it home. They realize, yes, I'm going on a hunt in Alaska. I'm going on a hunt in Colorado. I'm going on a hunt in Namibia, in the Salu, and I need a bigger barrel. They go back to Smoky Mountain Guns, tell them which barrel they want, which bolt head they need, order it comes in, and goes along with them. No background check required. It's just an accessory.
Wow.
And the cool thing about being modular, a lot of people ask, why does that come in? So again, if I go to, let's say, Namibia or the Salu or wherever, and I want to hunt a tiny 10 animal, I want to hunt a kudu, and I want to hunt Cape Buffalo. I can take a 6.5 Creedmoor barrel, 300 Win Mag barrel, and a 375 H&H.
Right.
And I only have to register one receiver with the African government. I don't have to register 3 firearms. I can take one case. I can break it down. Also, with that being said, your consistency in shooting. So what happens when you have 3 different rifles? You have 3 different trigger pulls, you have 3 different weights, you have 3 different feels. So you have to remember each and every firearm that you take. And if you're on a trip like that, a once in a lifetime trip, you want 0 mistakes. So being able to change barrels, but keep the same trigger, keep the same feel, the same weight, it's consistent across the board. You know what you're fixing to shoot from barrel to barrel. As far as breaking the rifle down in travel, you know, everybody, don't be wrong, we always recommend you check your firearm before you make a hunt, but we do have a 100% guarantee return to 0 feature. So
that's
if you go on
actually what I
this
was going to
hunt,
ask next.
yep, you go on this hunt, you're breaking the gun down for travel, it's in the case, you have your other barrels set up with their scopes on them, and you're worried, man, I need to go check them all out. You can, we do recommend it, but we also 100% guarantee scope to barrel, bore sighted in per barrel will return to 0. I can disassemble this firearm and reassemble it 100 times, and I will guarantee it will return back to 0.
That's fantastic. So what I'd like to do now is actually get some close-ups of us tearing this firearm down and showing just how easy and just how quick it is to take it down, put it back together.
Okay, so we're going to start by removing the magazine housing. This is set up in 2 pieces. You have the actual magazine housing, and you have the magazine insert. So this is just a housing with the trigger shoe. So like what you were saying, your trigger pull is always consistent. There is nothing that any customer, any gunsmith, no one can mess up your trigger pull in this rifle. You cannot mess with the trigger whatsoever. Because of that, the firing mechanism is in the bolt housing. One nice thing that Blaser does is every caliber that the mag insert will fit will be stamped onto the magazine insert. So again, going on a trip and getting them confused, you will not get them confused. You just have to pay attention. You just have to read the parts. So, and then every barrel will come with a magazine insert. So again, they bought a 6.5 Creedmoor from SMOKY, came in later, bought a 300 Win Mag barrel and a 375 barrel. Every barrel will come with the insert and will be stamped which caliber it fits.
That's fantastic.
So the determining the stroke on the bolt that we were going over earlier is this spring-loaded block right here. That block will be there for every caliber for every caliber magazine insert. So again, 22 long rifle, this block may come out to here. 300 Win Mag, there may not be a block at all.
Right.
So on and so forth. So now that we have done that, we're going to remove the bolt. So that is a bolt housing and a bolt head. And the good thing is you can tear this thing up.
Yeah.
There we go.
Nice.
Okay, so this bar is spring loaded, and the cool thing about this is when reassembling, and I'll go into deeper when we show the reassembly. So I've just unlocked the bolt. So right here is locked to the arm, where I was saying earlier you can leave it on decock and still bolt it back, and the only way to do that is to unlock it. That's where it's connected to the bolt arm. So we turn it and unlock it, pull it straight out. And with that, your firing pin, spring, everything stays in place. So if you were changing calibers in the field, you don't have to worry about losing parts. There's 2 parts,
fantastic.
The bolt head and the bolt housing. There's nothing to lose in the field. So again, let's say I am on a Cape Buffalo hunt and a kudu walks out, and I don't want to shoot that kudu with a 458 lot.
Right.
And I want to swap to a 300 Win Mag barrel. Within 30 seconds, I can swap this over in the field, not lose anything.
Wow.
And I'm going to show you the locking mechanism. So as you can see, this bolt, like I said, is set up in 2 pieces. This is your release. This is the main bolt. So when it goes into the barrel, it expands 360 degrees. And another cool thing, we were talking about not mixing parts up. So if you know you're shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor barrel, and that 6.5 Creedmoor barrel requires a standard bolt head, every piece is labeled to what piece it matches. So that says ST right there for standard. And again, to unlock it, the only way to unlock it is when this arm, which is operated by the bolt arm, is pulled out.
Nice.
That's the only way. And then from there, we take the barrel off. Now, the cool thing about being modular is you can make any part work with any rifle. So this particular stock that we're working with, we call it the professional, or we even call it pro ambi, professional ambidextrous. It's got palm swells on both sides. There's no comb on either side. So, for example, if I had this one on SMOKY shelf in a right hand, a customer walked in, wanted a left-hand rifle, all you have to do is order a left-handed bolt housing and a left-handed bolt head and swap it over.
Wow.
And that's it. And some guys, we have even had asked, hey, I'm right-handed, but I like working the bolt on the left side, and I'd like the shell to eject on the right side. Bolt heads come in left and right hand. So technically, a guy could have it shouldered on his right, bolted on his left, eject the brass on the right.
That's fantastic. That's
Barrel comes off. The nuts that tighten to these bolts stay in stock receiver. So again, there's no parts to lose in the field. Everything stays in place.
That is awesome.
So you have a stock receiver. The receiver in this one is dropped into the synthetic set. On our other models, as you can see, like this is a wood model, we call this a Jaeger. You have a stock, an external receiver, and a forearm. And then we offer multiple models. So we have Carbon Ultimate and we have Ultimate. That particular Ultimate that y'all have there has leather inlay on the forearm, the pistol grip, and on the comb, and it is real leather. Everybody asks, is that leather durable? Yes, it is, to the point of you can condition it with normal boot leather soap, saddle soap. You would take care of it. It is all conditions.
Nice. Now, as far as reassembly,
yes.
Is there a specific order? Let's go ahead and do that.
So I'm going to show you how I do it, and to get back on something else about parts matching, going on trips, mixing parts up. Remember how I showed you on the bolt head, it hit ST for standard?
Right.
To make sure you get the right bolt head with the right barrel. The barrel even has ST listed on it, so you know this barrel needs a standard bolt head. ST barrel, ST bolt head.
So they know guys like me. It's dummy proof.
Right. It is dummy proof. It's dummy proof. So the magazine insert shows you the caliber for which which barrel it will fit.
Right.
The bolt head will determine which caliber, in which our Blaser catalog has a whole list of bolt head to barrel. But again, the barrel itself will tell you which bolt head it needs. So if it said MA, if it was a 300 Win Mag, it would be a Magnum bolt head. So the way I do it, the way I put it back together, drop the barrel. So what you do is you turn until it catches. So it just caught. Go to the next one. Turn till it catches. Then I go back to the first one. I'm going to give it a quarter turn right, just to snug it. Same thing up here. Just a quarter turn snug. You don't have to manhandle it. You don't have to over tighten it.
Right.
So once I've done that, I'm going to set this back down. I'm going to pick up the magazine housing, the magazine insert. The studs on the magazine insert always face the left. I just get it started, slap it back in. So now I'm going to set this down. I always like to put the bolt housing in before the mag insert. But I'm going to take the bolt head. So you find the arm. The arm comes down, turns, and locks back into place. Now, just because I've done that, I'm still not finished. Right here where the safety bar is, it's still spring loaded. I have to find that sweet spot, flip it down, Now, one thing about safety, if this is not done correctly, this silver pin right here will protrude out. And if that protrudes out, the stock will not allow the bolt to slide back in. So it will tell you, you did not do something right. Do it again. It won't let you fire an unsafe gun.
Nice.
So we've done it safely, done it right. It's smooth. It's nothing to catch. So now that we've done that, I'm going to set that down, pick this back up, slide that back in. Because the mag group was not in, the gun automatically reverted to decock. Again, that's just a safety feature.
Right.
Slide that back in. And now you're good to go. If I want to cock it, the gun's cocked.
That is fantastic. Derek, thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys. And we are super excited to have these guns in our store.
Thank you for having us. We're excited as well.
And so if you need a Blaser at all in this area, in the East Tennessee area, we are your #1 headquarters, right?
Absolutely. You are the headquarters.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.